at the line that begins with the parentheses, sixth line from the top on Lamed Tes. So we found out that there's a sechel that is pashut, it's called. Pashut is devoid of levushei hasaga, of the means by which to grasp the sechel. In other words, it's a sechel which you clearly recognize, but there is no way to get a grasp of it, and no way to transmit it, because you don't have the means, the tools with which to grasp it. And yet it is sechel.
What is sechel? Sorry, which aspect?
A sechel that cannot be grasped in levushei hasaga.
The other person, you said, has to communicate it by bringing his human sensitivities.
Right? He pointed out that any sechel, we didn't talk about this today, in general, any sechel needs a recipient who has sechel. Now, with sechel, even the sechel that can be put in levushei hasaga, in graspable garments, it still is a sechel, and it can only be understood by someone who is a bas sechel, and only be understood by someone who has the willingness to understand it. And we point out again for 100 times, that sechel, that explanation of human behavior, that does not require a human type of receptacle. That is based on convention, on agreement between two people, or between groups of people. This is how all rights and wrongs, social rights and wrongs, are understood in the world. Those principles are not sechel. Which means, in very simple terms, those principles do not require a human soul in order to appreciate them and to understand them. You understand with your body. The animals understand.
There's no middle ground.
Huh?
There's no middle ground. And it requires a human soul to understand it, but it's still not godly. Everything that humans agree, animals understand it in their way, in their world also. Anything that's by convention.
By convention means that there is no human imperative.
So an animal has it in their world as well.
In a certain way, like you said many times. And many times, whenever I mention the principle of a home, I get from one corner or from the other. Well, the lion also has that. Also, a lion also has protect his turf. And it's imperative that we understand the difference between what is a human home, which is a neshama thing, and based on the godly reality, and the lion. The lion's too. Okay. Okay. So again, we're starting from 6 lines from the bottom, from the top. We're starting with the parentheses. The parentheses is up to the point where we said that it is not possible to bring out the depth and the essential truth of the sechel in our sod. Umavi-oo behis galus, and it is possible to reveal that sechel rak only bidvorim ktsorim, only with brief statements, brief words, or bidvorim, and such words she'eino nikor bohem his galus o inyan. Words wherein the inyan cannot even be sensed that there is a profound inyan in it. Rak ma shenimtzo bozeh. Only ma shenimtzo bozeh. It is only, the truth is that this inyan is contained therein, but you don't really sense that it is contained therein. That way you bring it out. Okay. We'll try to. Right. And Nikabam is galus or India.
We've got an outdoor concert. We have an outdoor concert tonight.
I know. But Nikabam is galus or India. In other words, you're making a statement. The statement seems to be perfectly innocent and neutral. And the recipient responds to it by personal response, not by right and wrong. And that touches, so to speak, to the essential element of his sechel. Way back when, we tried to illustrate and the principle of sechel. We said, look, a human being and a cat enter a chasana home. Remember, that was one of the first moments when we tried to identify sechel. What does the human being see? What does the cat see? Now, you're not identifying the sechel element. You're just getting the person to relate to something. And relate in contrast to the cat. And not that you are able to explain, but he senses the cat does not appreciate the same thing that the human being would appreciate. I told you that Moti Rosenfeld, who was listening to me from Colombia, he was listening to the class at that time. He called me up the next day. He said they related this to one of his malabatim. And my boss came back to him the next day and he says, Rabbi, I lost respect for my dog. Does that mean that from now on his sechel is begilui and he's able going to sense the essential union from sechel? Not necessarily. But he senses here's something that he cannot really fully understand, explain. That is exclusively human to the extent that he lost respect for his dog. Which means till then he thought that the dog is on par with him. And found out it's not true. Shneur, if I forgot, you can take the flower pot and put it on one of the windowsills over there. If you can carry it, careful.
Can you start from the parenthesis again to translate it?
Okay, I could. But the parenthesis is meant not to be translated. Yeah, go ahead.
Are we saying that the recognition that a person has, like you said, that when he walks into a chasana, he recognizes there's something significant, and he recognizes that an animal would not have that. We're saying that that's not sechel. That's not.
It's not levushei hasoga.
It's not levushei. It is sechel, but it's not sichtig.
It's not levushei hasoga. There's no grasp. What in fact is the difference? And why is there a difference?
Between levushei hasoga and this.
Between the human being or how the cat?
That's when you say. That's when you have to think into that feeling to identify the details. Without this is more the oneg hasechel.
The pnimi, the essence.
So what does it mean? They come to his galas
You can tell that there's a sechel in there.
What's Rak Masha Minsa?
It's contained therein. It's there, but you don't have a real identifier of it. You understand it, you know why you understand it.
Is that because the limitations of the person or because of the sechel is innately not levushei hasoga, you're saying?
That's right, and because the sechel is innately not levushei hasoga. Because I mentioned many times, we have to understand, sechel is a neshama emanation. It's a neshama emanation. Neshama is gil. And you understand the sechel only if you want to understand the sechel. And that does not diminish at all its fundamental truth, its objectivity. Because wanting to understand it means bringing forth the life element of the neshama. That's wanting to understand. What?
These past few days we have defined several types of sechel, right? I mean, at least two.
Several types of
Sechel. You said functional and you said essential. And when you say sechel is a neshama emanation, you're talking about which one?
both.
Uh-huh.
Both. And as we pointed out, okay, if the that which is functional, one can lose sense that this is a sechel. One can think that this is all conventional. And we're pointing out one should not lose sight of the real thing. That this is what the whole discussion today with this table thing. You look at a table, you don't see anything spiritual about it. It's all practical. There's a board and 4 legs that hold it up. Without the legs, it won't stand. And yet, I've been pointed out this, you have to have sensitivity. A human being relates to the table totally differently, it's on a different level than just the functionality, than the practical functionality. There's a human reality in it, even on this functional level.
Trying to figure out the
Yitzhak, move to the table. Yitzhak, move to the table. The table is a human place.
I move to the table, I block his feet, and then I'm going to keep on tapping him on the shoulder, saying, "Please sit back."
That's right.
Say,
Don't read that. Okay. Anyway, okay. Put it out between you. All right. Let's continue. Want me to repeat these words? So I keep asking. I repeat the parentheses. The oneg and pnimis hasechel, as we said, that does not lend itself to be contained in levushei hasoga. It means what are levushei hasoga? Levushei hasoga are the step-by-step development of an idea. That's meant levushei hasoga. Like we said, a table is a board. And what's the purpose of the board? To put things down. And then you had legs. Why the purpose of the legs? To hold up the board. That's levushei hasoga. You've clearly identified it sechel in a very graspable and fully comprehensible manner. What will happen if you take the legs off? The table will fall down. Of course you have to have legs. Then you come and say, wait a second, if you take the legs off, something's missing in the table. It's missing the richness of a human experience. That you can't put levushei hasoga. What?
He did actually put that, I think a week or so ago. We said that the table has to be standing by itself so that it's prepared to serve the human being, and the human being doesn't have to add anything of himself.
Where is that? What's the significance of that? That's exclusively human. That's not a practical, functional thing. Who would understand that? Only a human being who relates to being a human being. And the human being who objects to being a human being says, no, wait a second. Like I told you, my son in Seattle, Washington, told one of his balabatim, I think that humans are superior to animals. Remember that one? And the man says, Rabbi, you should say such a thing? Okay? That person can never be brought to see this.
Levushei saga is, you don't need to be a human being to have levushei saga. You can just understand it completely without any kind of human sensitivity. That's the definition of levushei saga.
Right. Levushei saga means that, but even there, the human being understands it differently than just the levushei. This is just a sechel. And he understands levushei saga, but he senses that there's a sechel. And that understanding that sechel, that leads him back to sense the oneg sechel. The Gemara says, "Divrei chachamim ben-nachat mishmor." Words of the wise are accepted and listened to when they produce nachas in a calm and a peaceful and an amicable manner. So anybody can sense that, anybody can explain it. That if you calm benachas, and people listen to you better, they feel more comfortable with you, and they will listen to your words. This is what's called the levushei hasoga. What is the broader and the deeper truth in this? That divrei chacham, if you want to hear the wisdom of a statement, rather than the victorious, than the so to speak, the imperative victory of a statement, you want to produce it benachas. Because the real essence of chokhmah, of wisdom, is what? Oneg. And oneg can only be heard benachas. That way takes it away completely from that arena. That is real sechel. Okay.
We said something about stika.
Well, that's it. Okay. So, as I promised, okay, I keep hearing this. So when Via be his galus, and he brings this essential aspect of the sechel, be his galus, on the revealed level, rag bidvorim tzorim, only in brief words, ubidvorim, and in such words, ein nikor bahem his galus ho inyan, where the his galus and the saying of the inyan, what the inyan is about, is not obvious. Rak mashenim tzubazeh, it is only that it is contained therein, but you do not really point to it. One of the ways that we manage, so to speak, to show that human beings, there's something human in the human thinking that is uniquely human in many things. Well, one of the things is that to a human being, embarrassment is more painful than a hit, than a physical hit. Physical hit is a concrete thing. I got hit. Here I have a blue mark. What's embarrassment? And embarrassment, we say, hurts a person more. What? This is a human sensitivity. You can't even explain what is embarrassment. What?
I just chuckled to myself.
This
Imagine an animal getting embarrassed.
This distinction is brought to show inside, to show the different, to show.
Right, you're not expressing what that is. It's contained in it.
Uh-huh.
The sechel, the human sechel. But you're not really bringing it out. Okay. All right, now at the end of the parenthesis. The kol shekain, and surely hasichlim haboyim mikeach hahiyuli ho'atzmi. In other words, after that we have concluded that not only in the sechel that comes from Kehamask, not only in the sechel that comes b'derech eri choizer, but in any sechel there is a depth and an essence in the sechel that cannot be brought out in levushei hasechel. All this is to bring about that we should be able to relate to the following statement. This is the way we started. Kol shekain surely hasichlim haboyim mikeach hahiyuli ho'atzmi, the sichlim that come from the koyach hasechel is called koyach hahiyuli ho'atzmi, the essential element of sechel, which is not even sechel at all. The hiyuli aspect of sechel, the basis for sechel. The hiyuli has no definition whatsoever. Shenirgash bohem, that in those sichlim for sure is sensed etzem ho'inyan, the etzem ho'inyan, the essential, the essence of the inyan. Now with the fundamental truth of the inyan. B'meila nirgash b'hem habli gvul shebo inyan, and then therefore automatically you sense in this the bli gvul of the inyan, the limitless truth. In other words, the truth of it that is not bounded by any kind of boundary. There's no circumstantial explanation for that in there. It's a truth in and of itself. This is when it comes from Kecha Yuli or Atzmi. There is sense that this is believable. We pointed out this in Yuli or Atzmi in the circumstance where a person seems to have lost totally his human orientation, his human sensitivities, and yet we know that he is a human being. Not because he functions sechel. Functionally, you can't tell at all. This is atzmi. In other words, please understand what this says. We understand b'sechel, and things make sense to us. All the things that we're discussing and then some. The reason they make sense to us primarily is not because we're used to thinking a certain way, we have certain experiences, like it's being presented. The reason they make sense to us is that we are human beings. There's essential truth to being a human being. What is a human being? How do we define it? A human being we define as that entity by whom the ruchnius is primary. But the life element is primary. The guf is secondary. Maharaya, embarrass him, and he's devastated. Give him a hit. I'll get over it. Okay. So this mitzad the etzem ho'inyan, there is no gvul. Avo mitzad hasichli v'hahasogo shebahem, but the sichli element and the hasogo that is contained in this sechel, that element, that part of the sechel that lends itself to be grasped, that comes in levushei hasogo, harehu behagbolo. That is behagbolo. This is what we started at the bottom of the previous page, and now this is concluding. Okay, this.
We started off saying that the sechel ma'atzmim are believable, and then we said, but really bemis they're gvul. Mitzad hasichli ma'asago shebehem. And then we said, like al derech in regular sechel, that the calmness is less movable and the famous is more movable. And then we say kol shekain. What's kol shekain? Kol shekain. We started off saying it's believable, and the chiddush is that it's gvul. It's a hasechel. So we start out that it's believable. That's pashut. That's the pashut is by us.
That it's true, but it still remains that even though we were able to point to a believable element in every sale, still, every sechel that ultimately you grab it, you grasp it through levushei hasoga, and through that you sense that there is also a higher in you. That's called the pnimis or oneg hasechel. Doesn't compare to the way this sechel comes at the hiyuli level. At the hiyuli level, it literally has no boundaries. We had many illustrations of this.
No, but we seem to be going in the wrong direction. In other words, we're trying to show how it's gvul, it's not a sichli shiboi. Not that it's bleakly, it's not a pneumo shiboi. We start off that it's bleakly. We say, but the MS, it's gvul, it's not a sichli b'asala shiboi. And the beer bizet, it's out there, we have in sechel galui. And then the culture came the same culture came by sichli ma'atzmi, it's bleakly, it's not a pneumo shiboi. And it's like we started off that the bleakly shiboi is the pshita.
No, we started off pointing out that there's mukbal.
The MS.
That it's mukbal, that in hasoga it is mukbal. Even though there is a inyan from bleakbul in it, but that's mitzad the etzem inyan, but mitzad hasoga is v'hagbal. And this is what we're concluding here also. We're saying that this inyan that there is a bleakbul element, this is mitzad the etzem that's contained therein, but the sichli element, it is always it is essentially a big pool. So that's the same way. Avol. So this is the conclusion. Avol mitzad hasichli v'hasoga shebehem hariyah b'agbol. This is the conclusion of the whole discussion. Okay. This is an interesting thing. It brings down a story to demonstrate this principle. In Pri Etz Chaim, it brings both down on something that occurred about the Arizal. Shero bepashus bolok ubilo, that he saw chokhmah, insights, in the pasha of Bolok and Bilam, that he would need to express it in speech, meshech pei shono, 80 years. The story that's told in Pri Etz Chaim that Arizal was Manamnaim, he was dozing off. But as he was dozing off, it was obvious that something was going on. His eyes were constantly moving. Something was going on in his mind. When he got up, it was an hour or whatever it is. When he got up, he said that he just now learned, so to speak, in the Pasha of Bolok and Bilam, something it would take him 80 years to express. To express it. He understood it. He already learned it. It would take him 80 years to bring it out with Dibur. It's explained elsewhere, that this refers to a re'iyah, a sighting, that he saw it b'keach hasechel ha'atzmi b're'iyas ein hasechel be'etzem umhuz hadavar. When he was looking with his mind's eye on the etzem hadavar, not on the sichli of the inyan. The mamela, where as a result, Hagiluyim bozeh heim beriba b'yoser. Therefore, the Giluyim that can come from this, since he has the Etzem Ha'inyan, the Giluyim that can come from this, beriba b'yoser, are extremely multiple. Ad Peishon.
Why aren't they bleeding?
Ad Peishon, till 80 years. To express it, the Inyan itself remains Bligvul. But to express it, whatever can be expressed, takes 80 years.
Oh.
What? Let's finish off this thing and we'll see your question. Shezehu ki erech ha-bligvul. In truth, this is like Bligvul. But yet still, but yet still, there is an Hagbala because you say it's 80 years. So this is what Rabbi explained. Bavade for sure, etzem ha'inyan shoro. The essential inyan, the thing itself, the etzem of inyan hiso, who b'pchinas bligvul mamash, is an actual bligvul, and it cannot be expressed even in 80 years. Being that refers to the sighting of the inyan itself, the very truth of the inyan itself. Avol, however, hahashpo, the producing it to be mashpia, the hainu hasichli habobizeh, the sichli that can be drawn from this, hu b'bchinas hagbol, is in hagbol. It doesn't, in the sichli, you can give out the etzem ha'inyan. To produce this, the sichli of this etzem ha'inyan takes 80 years, but the etzem ha'inyan itself can never be produced. V'lochein, we're going right in the next parenthesis. V'lochein, and therefore, be'emes, in truth, gam bepeishono, even with 80 years, leho yomagale etzem ha'inyan, he would not have expressed the etzem, the essence of the sin. Masharo, what he saw. Lefi shezehu l'mayla miseichel, because this, in fact, is higher than sechel. He saw the etzem ha'inyan. To be megala the inyan in sechel, it would take 80 years.
The Friedrich Rebbe told such a story about the Rebbe Rashab himself.
Yeah. V'yesh loymar, now it can further be said, this is what's going to be the great novelty in the future. Where the hasoga, the comprehension, will actually be applied to the etzem huzadov, to the very essence of the thing, of the reality of the thing itself. As we say in davening, v'yovin kol yitzur ki ato yitzarte, that every creature should understand ki ato yitzartoi, that you have created it. Okay. I will explain in it what is the emphasis over here. This is words that we say in davening on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. V'yovin kol yitzur ki ato yitzar, that you should ultimately reveal and bring about the recognition of this truth, that all yitzur, everything that was created, should understand ki ato yitzarte, that you created it. V'yavim v'yasik kol echot, that everyone should understand and comprehend ki ato yitzartoi, that you created him bechinas hamahus. Ato yitzartoi, this is the, you understood, you created the mahus itself. Let me explain what this is implying over here. Excuse me, I had an implant operation today, so it's still woozy a little bit. Thank you. As we are reading it, without little sechel, that everyone should admit to the truth that the Eibusher created, and therefore he will submit to his service. This is not what this means. To recognize that we didn't make ourselves, and there is a higher and greater authority that made us, and we have to be submissive to that authority. This is a primary human reality. Even the Goy understands it. That's why a Goy also has 7 mitzvahs. He's not allowed to be destructive in the world, because he has sechel to understand. This world doesn't belong to the creature, it belongs to the one who made it. Follow this through, I'd like to get it clearly out. What I just now said is perfectly fitted in levushei hasoda. We all know nothing makes itself. That's a logical thing. Therefore, there is a greater power that made it. And if the greater power made it, therefore this is should be in the state of submission to the one that made it. Recognize its maker. This is perfectly logical. But this is saying Yom Kippur ki atu yitzartoi. It's a completely different concept. That is a concept that is expressing something which is beyond levushei hasoda. Why is it beyond levushei hasoda? This which we just not is levushei hasoda. Saying, look, I'm here. How did I get here? Something must have brought me here. This is levushei hasoda. It's clear, step by step development. Know that there's something made. What?
Ato. Saying, in other words, you know something made you, but it says Ato, that you recognize not just something made you, but you recognize who made you.
How do you recognize who made you?
That's it.
What's the secret behind it? This is probably what you learned and said last time also. What's the ato itself? How do you recognize the ato? So the principle in this is, and we are constantly kind of pointing to this, it's one thing to know that nothing makes itself. First, okay, I see an entity that is really completely standalone, doesn't allude to anything else. But it's illogical to say it made itself. Therefore, there has to be something like that. But when you focus in on this entity itself and see the richness and the greatness that is contained therein, then you see its maker. You see that this is not something that stands on its own altogether. There is a spirit of the maker in it that is beyond itself. This is Ato Yitzarta. When you fully understand, when you focus in, this is what I'm saying. This Darwin is very smart, but he's an idiot. Why is he an idiot? Because he doesn't go further to understand what he's looking at. What kind of creatures is he looking at? When you get to understand and you see the wonders that are contained in these creatures, then you see the Creator right there. This is not creatures, that's creatures. These are creatures that present a supreme Creator, a supreme spirit. The human being evolved from a monkey. Pardon me, I always go back because I know that how logical always falls onto that. Evolved from a monkey. What's the evolution from a human being and a monkey? A monkey doesn't know how to make tools. A monkey doesn't know how to do all kinds of different things. Cannot drive a car. A human being can do all kinds of different things. And that has, and this is why he evolved from a monkey, in order to facilitate these activities. This is such a superficial view of the human being. And we said, what's a human being? Is life itself. It's not a living body. A monkey is a living body. Human being is in a categorical different. It is godness itself. The life element in the human being does not make sense, is not fully grasped by its body. What does sechel have to do with the physical brain? This is not a physical reaction. Sechel is a spiritual, is a neshama reaction. And this is what we demonstrated several times in those few days. And I'd like to bring it back again. If you see this cup here and on this table, and you look at this, you examine it and you say, surely a human being put it down. It'd be stupid for you to say, no, the cup brought itself here, or it was always here. Surely the human being put it down. No doubt about it. Are you sure? 100% sure. This is called seeing it apesef. In other words, the fact that you see it here and the knowledge that it was put down are two separate entities. And logically, with your sechel, you know where it is. Then there's another scenario, another situation. For example, if you watch me put this watch down, I'm putting it down over here. And you see it being put down. Here, you also know for sure that somebody put it down. But it's a completely different knowledge. It's not a logical knowledge. It's a reality knowledge. follow what I'm saying? It's a completely different knowledge. There, not only do you know that somebody put it down, there, looking at it, you see the somebody who put it down. This is the pshat Yom Kol Yitzhak. Looking at the creation, you see the Creator. It's not a secondary step. You see the Creator directly. This is what you see with the Re'iyah. The eye sees, but doesn't see it logically. It sees the reality itself. And here we're demonstrating the difference. Two different experiences.
It's not so much understood, but recognized, right? It's more like an inherent recognition of the Creator.
It's not understood by levushei hasechel, but we have the capacity to understand it with our pure sechel. We have the capacity to understand, like you say, the direct truth, the significance of it. It's like to see the Creator in it. Not that we are forced to admit it, but we actually see the created element, the Creator quality in this. This is what I've been saying the whole time, saying a human being, an animal is a living body, which means he fits into the creation of the world perfectly. He's part of the world. His body, the world is all body, except he's a living body. But primarily he is body. A human being is not body, a human being is soul. In a body. That is a miraculous presence. This is it's the Creator that combines these two things. Even the smart idiots admit that the human being, I mentioned many times, is an anomaly of nature. Nature made a mistake somehow.
We can sense the Creator not just in a human being. We can sense the Creator not just in a human being. We sense Him. We see, we recognize it in everything. After you grasp that, then
that's right. All right.
So how come they don't see the Creator?
They refuse to. They refuse to. That's the absolute truth. I once heard a conversation on NPR, station with all wisdom, and they were talking about the evolution and all that, about the human being. Then he said, maybe we should think in terms of the creation option. No, we shouldn't. We can't really accept that. It's some kind of a mysterious creator thing. We can't really accept that. That was the end of it.
Self-evident.
That's a reality. We can't accept that. All right.
There are a lot of reasons, though, right?
Huh?
There are a lot of reasons. People have different reasons for not being able to, not wanting to not being able to be confused.
Not wanting is ends all the reasons. You don't want to. I want to be independent. Okay. And this is what's contained in these words which you say in Davening. V'yovin kol yitzur. This is what's going to be leosid loving. That v'yovin kol yitzur ki'ato yitzartoi. That this should be understood and recognized. The ato in everything. To see the godness in everything.
Kol Yitzur, what's called Yitzur?
Yitzur is like the one that was created, the Yitziro, right? The Yitziro.
Or form.
The haskola leosid yeh beifun achel legamri. The haskola, the comprehension leosid will be in a totally different manner. Or k'meisha kosova, it says in Posek, haskel v'yoideh v'yodeh ois. That what is sechel leosid love, haskel v'yoideh to understand and know me. This is what sechel is. Ultimately, this is the sechel also. To know Elokus and to see Elokus in the Elokus in everything. And with this we have to conclude.
So,
But the point is the mahus of Elokus, the etzem.
Yeah, because yes. The Haskim Yedei AC will see the Mahuz Ha'Elokus in everything. Not to levushei hasechel. Is that what you mean? Right. Not to levushei hasechel. It is to Ru'iyah. Like you pointed out, when you see this thing being put down, it's not that you are a sechel convinced that this is how it is. You know the truth itself.
So there's the etzem inyan, and then there's the hashfas inyan, the hamshachas of the inyan, not the etzem inyan. The Aiden, the anar yitzim Aiden.
When the Osid Lovei, there's not going to be any more hashpos or inyan. There is not going to be any more one teaching the other, because kulam yedu eisi. The Rambam, in describing the Osid Lovei, says, I pointed out a long time ago, it's interesting thing, Rambam says that the Asik Kol Ha'olam, what will be the Asik, the occupation, the preoccupation of Kol Ha'olam, the entire world? Lodas das boirom. To know the das of their creator. In other words, not to know where do I come from. To know things in the world context. But das boirom. This is what will be the occupation. To know the creator himself. Just make these amounts. How do we come to know? What makes us try to know Das Beira? Because we see the Beira in the creation. And we try to further dig in, we try to understand what it is that we actually see. Das Beira?
The chutzpah.
I'm sorry?
The chutzpah to ask is, but we will know him like he knows himself.
We will delve into that. We want to know the Das Beira, not. We will not know him the way he knows himself, but we will know an aspect of this. Because this is what will be evident in his creation. And it's not going to be how he knows himself, but how he manifests himself and brings himself out in his creation. This is it for this evening.
I read the whole week of notes before class. Stay with it because of that. Tremendous amount.
All right, have a good evening.